Okay, Senator B. Wellness Wednesday. Native Americans are in the house. I just like Nistu Nidaniko Magoyo Sokoi. I'm with the Native Wellness Institute crew, and we are at Suquamish Nation. We have 110 participants who signed up, and we're in a cedar longhouse over here. We're doing healing work. So for the next hour, there's a few volunteers that have volunteered to share what they think is going on here. Because sometimes, what we think is going on, what someone else thinks is going on are two different things. Okay, so we see people checking in. Welcome. This is Wellness Wednesday. Native Wellness Institute. We're doing our training near Seattle. We're on an island called Bainbridge. And Bainbridge is where Chief Seattle's people, the Suquamish people, are. And that whole city of Seattle was named after that great warrior, that great ancestor, Chief Seattle. It's also, for those of you, how many of you know the Gona? Woo-hoo! Gathering of Native Americans. The grandfather of Gona, the Gathering of Native Americans, is a man that crossed over in 2016. His name is Harold Belmont. The Belmont process. You guys all know that, what did you see, what did you hear, and how did it make you feel? He's actually, for a moment, I'm going to just show you the Cedar House. This is where they had his celebration of life. And you can see the red chairs. There's 110 people in the Cedar House, and Shailene Joseph and Josh are visiting with them about how to work with Native youth. And this nation often hosts the canoe journey. So 96 canoes pulled in here for the canoe journey right here and came into the Cedar. It's called the House of Awakening. And they sang songs to get permission to come into the house. And then songs were sang back to them. So I just wanted to give you a location. And we have a couple of guests. So this is Theda Newbrash, your badass auntie. And it's been a badass week because I just finished a film called Buffalo Spirit with Thunderheart Media, and Ivy McDonald, who's Blackfeet, and Daniel Glick, who's one of our allies. We made a film about our buffalo. And so look for that they won Sundance, or they went to Sundance. So Badass Aunties in another film, and I really liked it because I was taking care of 62 buffalo in the film. And so I'm like Shaggy. No, they didn't let me wear lipstick, and I couldn't dress like this. I had mucks on, and kind of had a raggy shirt. Anyway, I was still badass. So our first guest, I want to tell you a little bit. Native Wellness Institute, we've been invited to many nations. Remember, there's 576 nations in the lower 48, but there's also a few hundred villages in Alaska. And there's also communities throughout Alaska, and they're much like us in the United States. Just a FYI, when someone is at the Baskin, you don't call them Aleut. and when they're Yupik, you don't call them Athabaskan. No. That's like a Lakota calling a Navajo a Blackfeet. No, I'm just teasing. There's so we're very privileged. Oh yeah, I see a lot of laughter. We're very privileged. Native Wellness Institute has allied with Dillingham, Alaska, and some of that alliance started with Missing and Murdered, with Amber Webb. Amber Webb was one of the first artists coming out of Alaska that started sketching on a cuspic all of the women in Alaska that were missing and murdered, and then the ones that missing and murdered in lower 48. It's a giant. It's like a big old tree. It travels around, and a lot of people do healing. So NWI had met Amber, and then met her sister, Tiffany. And so anyway, NWI, we've been up there where we were on planes. We were doing stuff where we probably could have died, but we didn't. No. So our first guest, and I just asked her to tell us, like, what do you think's going on with the healing here in the House of Awakening, and then also what's going on in Dillingham? So do you want to sit? Are you good?
I can stand.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Tiffany Webb. I am a Chiliang tribal member, and I'll introduce myself in Yupik. I'm learning my Yupik language again, and so Winga Atka Tiffany Webb, Slu Mark and Inez Webb, Slu Ralph and Anime Sorensen, Slu Doris and Chester Webb. And so those are my parents and my grandparents, and that's so that you know who I am, so that you know that I'm not, so that you know if I am or if I am not a liar or a trustworthy person, or if I have integrity. You'll know those things when I introduce myself. And I'm coming up on, I have to think, I stopped drinking when I was 24. And I stopped using cannabis when I was 25, and I'm 44 today. So it's, how many years is it? I don't know how many years, but it's a long time. It's a
bunch of years.
It's a lot of years. And whenever I come to a Native Wellness gathering, I always feel safe and celebrated, and I don't feel like that at other times. There's times where I don't feel like that, even at home. I think if I feel like when we're at home, there's times where it's very lonely, and there's a lot of people that want to feel good and they want to feel safe, and they think that feeling good and safe involves not being who we are. So it feels really good to come here. It feels really good. And it's beautiful here. It's beautiful here where we're standing. And there's so many people that are sharing songs and prayers. And I'm sending all of those songs and prayers back home to people. And then they start messaging me. They start texting me, hey, what are you doing? And so they're feeling those prayers. And what we're doing it's Chiliang is the name of our community, and it's called Dillingham right now, and it was named after somebody who visited in the 70s, but really the traditional name is Chiliang, and what it means is the area where the waters churn. And there's a story that goes with that, but there's two rivers that converge there, and so the water is really rough. And this water, I noticed, so when the tide comes in and out, the water gets rough. And this morning the tide was coming in, and I think people were worried about like the water being rough, or it was going out, one of the two. It must have been going out. And I knew it would get better at slack tide, or whenever the tide was fully out or in. And it's a little bit choppy, but it's nice out here right now.
Awesome. So I asked Sister to tell us how Dillingham, Alaska is healing. And then I asked her to, because like when I was up in Dillingham, I felt part of, because I come from Montana, and in the times that I was there, they were dressed just like us. Like they were dressed like the Babylonians. And people were, riding around with their guns, and people had guns, and that was like, because we're hunters, and we're really right now, it's bow season, and then we go to, they'll be hunting, elk. That's a lottery. They'll be hunting moose, but you can hunt deer, and we have a lot of animals, including buffalo. We have a large herd of buffalo on our reservation. our sovereignty goal is to have 5,000 buffalo because we could feed all of our Blackfeet people when the stores close. And so the pandemic was actually a good experience for us because we just locked down Homeland Security and we looked at how we could take care of our own people, and we didn't allow others to come on our reservation. They could drive through, but they could not stop. And it was community police. Anyway, but we have, so tell us about, because every time I go up to Dillingham, I have to overly eat smelt. I'm like, soon as I start, I get saliva because I love smelt. And I know there's all kinds of, other fish and there's other things to hunt. But how is the wellness in Dillingham, Alaska?
The wellness in Dillingham, or we could call it Chilliwack.
Okay.
The wellness in Chilliwack is, well, it's shifting. It's shifting now. People are proud. People are more proud. When I was growing up, it wasn't really cool to be Native, and now kids are. We have a group of middle school and high school students in the Dillingham High School, middle school they're learning Yuhuk. They're learning to dance. They're learning the teachings behind the dancing, and there's a revival of Yuhuk and teachings right now. And that is when we Yuhuk, that's our traditional way of praying. And when we sing those songs, and as soon as that drum hits, as soon as that drum beats, all of our ancestors come into the room, and that's been changing us. It's been changing how our relationships are with each other. It's been changing our relationship with the earth. Where a lot of people are starting to make their own regalia. They're teaching themselves. Some people are teaching themselves, and the people that do know are teaching. And so many of us, lots of us, we have our traditional clothing and our dance fans, our kamiksooks, and we're wearing those things, and we're making them. And I think that's really powerful.
Mm-hmm. You want to sit with me for a moment? We thought we'd both get in the frame because we're like sisters. And Tiffany just helped this morning because this is day 2. We're together for 3 days of healing, and yesterday was an intense. Everyone, we learned about ourselves, and we got vulnerable. We did a letting go ceremony in which we took some tobacco down, and I know Tiffany and several others of us, we put the tobacco down, and one of our brothers jumped in the water. We took off our shoes and we just stood there for, I don't know, like a half hour. And that was just letting go. And we start at 8 a.m. We have good breakfast, and we heal all day till about 4:30. So what happened for you in the group that you came with? Did you bring others with you? Like, who's here?
Yes.
Like what? Okay.
Carol Luckhurst is here, and Clarissa Larson is here, and Clarissa is our wellness. She's our wellness coordinator right now, and then Carol Luckhurst is one of our chiefs on the Chilliwack Tribal Council. And what we're doing is we're working really hard to build wellness in our community. And so we all came here from Dillingham, and we were tired. Our rental car didn't work out. All these things didn't work out, but we figured it out. And then when we got here, as soon as we walked in, I could feel it. I could feel how bad I needed this, how bad I needed to come back to myself and come back to that, like a traditional way of gathering, not a colonized, westernized, overly controlled way of gathering, but with structure, with love, with teaching, with discipline, but not the kind of discipline that's scary, the kind of discipline that helps you feel confident and strong and anchored, grounded. Yeah, so that's how I felt. And I cried a lot. I cried a lot. I had my pockets are full of Kleenex just in case. Just in case today. There will be more crying.
Healing,
yeah.
healing. There will be more healing and crying.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I was just enjoying. I was sitting next to Sister because I think telepathically, her and I, because I was raised on the Blackfeet Reservation without money that I was born into. There was no cash economy. There was just the grandparents and the way that we survived, but happily survived. So I think sometimes that's our connection. Well, if you were going to describe Tiff, and I call her Tiffany, if you were going to describe what you wished for in Alaska, what if you had like a magic wand and you could just like zap the Republicans, eh? I'm just that's it. That's me. But if you could even into the interior, or even zap a few things in Anchorage, or Fairbanks, or up to Nome, or if you could, what kind of things would you wish for, like in the next 10 years or immediately? What would you wish for that would bring healing and bring the culture back and bring the language back? Say something about that.
I'm not opposed to zapping political ideas that are killing us. I'm not opposed to that. The first thing that I would do is I would replace alcohol and drugs with safe coping for people across the whole state. I would do that. If I could do that, I would do that. I would remind people how strong they are and how many thousands of years that we survived and that we had good, healthy relationships with each other. I would do that. I would want people to instantly regain and remember how to make our own clothing and how to gather and how to harvest our own foods. I've learned this from Theda. I've learned this from a few different people. When we eat the foods our ancestors ate, it does something to our spirit, and it comes out in our behavior and our actions. And I have learned that as an adult. I've had to learn that. So if I had a magic wand, I would let all the young people coming up, babies being born, I would let them know those things. Yeah, right away.
I was just the sun's beating down on our face, and as you were saying that, I could feel it. Because one of the things with Native Wellness Institute, we always ask you to set your intentions. Is your intentions to have a good Halloween and dress up like Bigfoot, eh? Is your intentions to work on the relationship you're currently in? Is your intention to look at maybe severing a relationship that you're currently in? Or is your intentions to have a better relationship with self? All of these kinds of things. So before you leave us, we have two other guests, or we had two other guests. Yeah, that we would like to interview. Answer me this, Tiff. How is it to be the mother of a 3-year-old in today's world? And the question is like, what kinds of things as a parent would you like to surround your daughter? Because yesterday was National Daughters Day, remember? Y'all posted your pictures. But what about the other 364 days, eh? Like, how do you be good and raise a good daughter? Can you say something about that?
I saw Mike Duncan's name as you asked me that question. Let's go this way.
Yeah.
Just this way.
Okay.
So it was this side. I have my stinking puffin Eleanor puffin stinking girl, and she's gonna be 2, and then we have Thomas Hossett, my boyfriend, my man. He has Neela and Hank, and they're 8 years old, and Neela's 8 years old, and Hank just turned 7. And then I have my son Alan, he's 8 years old. And being a parent, being a parent is hard. Being a parent in the best of circumstances is sometimes hard, but I feel like doing my own healing is so important, because when those moments where things get really stressful, I have to remember that all this outside stuff, all the money and all these other things that I worry about, they really don't matter, and that the memories that my kids will have growing up won't be of what my paycheck was or wasn't. They don't care. They're not gonna know if I didn't pay the light bill once or twice because I didn't have enough money. They're gonna know how they felt growing up, and so I'm really trying to concentrate on that. Some days it's easier than others, but it's getting better.
And so we invite you to Tiffany Webb is she's on Facebook, and I always watch her page because I just love the things she's doing with her daughter and her son. And I remember, I just love Alan because he's like a badass. I love little boys. And our next guest is going to talk to us about some Native men kind of stuff. But Alan, I just love your children. I love when I come up there. I love how we go into your communities. And everyone, I was always treated with respect, you know, coming from the lower 48, because they think we're, we don't know how to survive. Hey! They think we don't know what to do with bears. Hey! They think we don't know how to shoot a gun or a bow or anything like that. They just, you know, think we look at Netflix and color our nails and have really long eyelashes. No! Anyway. So thank you, Tiffany. When you can you get me some lunch when you go get a lunch? So when we're done here, I could. It's good when you feed your elders, eh? So without further ado, I'll introduce our next guest, and this is and I say my bro, but this is like one of my brothers. I don't know, maybe of 30 years. Like one of my favorite memories of this man was when they were having suicides in different communities and like all over, but it was around Pine Ridge, and they were having a rash, kind of like how we're having the fentanyl overdoses right now. And you know, we just had 3 deaths before I left home, and then yesterday one of our elders just had a fentanyl death, and that phenomena in which our people choose to numb out and they go too far with a dangerous substance that just takes them away. So this man, I remember when there was some stuff going on Pine Ridge, and the IHS and all the government people, you know, the one that have cushy government jobs, didn't know what to do. And I just Indy is always, and this was one of the men that just saddled up, got in the car, and went over there and started doing things with the men and doing things. And that's how I know him. He always saddles up. And now I'm really glad he's dedicating to becoming he's one of our consultants now, because we have to do more for Native men's healing. And it's Native men healing Native men, and the women got to stay out of it. You aren't going to fix him. And so I'll just say this. So and we can stand however you feel, brother. But you want to introduce?
Side by side's good.
Side by side's good. Okay,
yeah.
So introduce yourself.
Let's see. I'll just say my Indian name is Tiach Tichin, which means good hunter, because I am a protector and provider for my family. My English name is Wade McGee. I come from Cherokee Nation, or Tsalagi is what I would say. But I've lived up on the Coeur d'Alene Reservation for 31 years now. So I kind of live, because of the way our traditions are, we're a maternal society, matriarchal. And so I go with the woman. So when I married my wife, who is Coeur d'Alene, I went with her and I live with her people and do my best to live their way, to live by their culture. And so I've been super lucky my whole life. Did all kinds of cool stuff. Met great people in my life. I always think of my brother Gene Tagabon, who's one of our facilitators too. But yeah, so I just really believe in our people and believe in our culture, and our culture is what is healing and what is wellness. And so we just got lots of work to do. And
So just reminding you, tuned in to Native Wellness Institute's Wellness Wednesday, and we're at Suquamish Nation, and we're in our second day of epic healing and laughing and crying, and they're all in there eating some good food, and we just came to talk to you. So wait, let me ask you this.
oh wait, Kimberly, Siyo Tohiju.
Hey, oh yeah,
So even though I don't live there, I still remember our language and ways. So.
all right, Cherokee Nation.
Yeah.
Well, my man killer, that was
Yeah.
my badass auntie.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Yeah, so Wade, okay, so what, as a co-trainer, I really depend on him when there's a young Indian man struggling. I really depend on him when we need the native man's point of view. And I notice that we have, like, we look at each other and we telepathically talk.
We do.
And we bounce it back and forth. But Wade, how can we support, or what do Indian men, if you were talking to Indian men, what would you say to them to get a grip? Get a freaking grip.
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
Well, number one, get up. Quit sitting down and laying on your ass.
Ooh, okay. Tell us more.
Thinking it's going to get better.
Okay.
We got to do the work. And so, and me and Theda talk all the time. All of us talk. And show them the ocean. Did you show them the ocean?
Yeah, but we're going to show you again because we're getting ready. The Squamish Nation is bringing out 2 canoes, and we have 12 clans here. We have 12 teams, and they're going to go out in their teams, and they're going to paddle out, and they're going to feel the spirit of the water, and they're going to do maybe some songs and some prayers. And some of them, the ones from Arizona, they are scared to go out.
Yeah.
But they're going to face their fears, and we're going to heal by experiencing out on the water.
Yeah.
That's so yeah, I did show them what we're
Awesome.
looking at.
So, kind of when I talk to men, one of the things that happened during colonization, when you think about what they did, so they took everything from the man, the man's role. So we were warriors, we were protectors, we were providers. And so when the colonizers came in, the first thing they did was they put us somewhere we weren't used to. They took away our bows, they took away our arrows, our lances, our spears. They said we couldn't hunt, we couldn't fish, that our women couldn't gather, so we couldn't go out and protect our gatherers. Everything was taken. And so then when you think about through the years, then they take our kids to boarding school. And then when they're in boarding school, they're never hugged, never loved, never taught those rites of passages that we had to go through as men and as women. And then we get out, and all the ones that were left that weren't in boarding school, now we're given alcohol. And so everything that we knew was broken, was the attachments were broke. And so as men, we felt like our place was gone. And so what has happened is, and me and Theda know because we train everywhere together, just like here, there's 100 women and maybe 8 men here. And that's a problem. That's an issue. And yeah, we could sit here and say, oh, our men are out working, they're doing this, doing that. I say, your butt should be here. And we need to start getting through and digest and begin to heal from what our people have been through, so we can take our role. And we do an exercise where we hang on to a rope, and hopefully you'll be able to see it someday. But right now, all of our women are holding on to the rope. Our women, our elders, and our men have been displaced and aren't taking their place where they need to be. Now, I've been in communities where there are very healthy, strong, well warrior men. And I'm talking about men are he, him. Those
okay.
men. So I just really think it's time. There are other ways we can protect and serve today. Number one is being well and walking through that healing. The other one is being able to stand next to a strong woman and be okay with that.
Yeah.
Theda's a strong woman, but I love her. And we like, when she talks about telepathically, that's true. Like, we talk and the energy is transferred between the two of us, and we have so much fun. But like, it's okay to live amongst. I'm married to a Marine Corps veteran, a strong woman, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being a strong man married to a strong woman.
And then I'll just say, before brother shares more with us, it's about discipline. And women, you don't go snagging on someone who's already got a commitment. No manizing. Women, you don't flirt with a married man. Women, you do not teach your children, because they are, whatever you do, if you're snagging around someone who's already committed, you are corrupting the relationship of your children. So I can say that about women. So women that manize, don't do that. My brother here, we have discipline. I respect him as a man, and I trust him. Like, when it comes to our training and I do the women and wellness part, and I might facilitate LGBTQ two-spirit, transgender part, and then I'll just say, okay, now I want my brother to take this part. I just give it to him. Sometimes I don't know what the hell he's going to do. Sometimes I like, but I trust him so much, because he always, like, I remember when I first heard you talk about when you were a child, and how you got disrupted with your healthy sexuality, and then how you healed and it brought it up. And then you should see his wife Debbie, because we're like transparent. And by the way, Debbie is Lavina Louie's sister. Yeah. And so this is like, through our sister Lavina Louie, this is some of her family, and it's working out. We have blood family, but Wade is like my trusted brother. We just been going into situations where we need a male and a female facilitator, and it's been working out. So can you just share some of your story with us?
Yeah, so when I was young, so I was sexually abused from the age of 8 to about, I don't know, 10. And it was a relative. Well, there's 3 different people, but what's crazy is all those people are gone. So all the people who did that to me are gone now. I used to like really, really struggle to even talk about it, but through all the healing and things that we've been through, I think it's important to share, because I think there's a ton of men out there that it's happened to. Not just sexual abuse, but physical abuse, emotional abuse, and it just tears us down, because we're taught one thing: be strong. You just got to be strong, and it'll be okay. But it's not. We shove it inside, and then it affects us in so many different ways. And then we develop all these coping behaviors because we think we got to be a man, and then we pass that on to our children, just like you were just talking about the women. The same goes for men. If you hit your wife, your son is most likely going to hit their their loved one that they choose. If you use women, your boys are probably going to do that too. And so those are all coping behaviors. That was not a part of who we were before colonization, before all of that came. We weren't like that. We were providers and protectors, and we took care of each other, and we loved each other, and you had a role to play, and you had rites of passages, and you learned how to make a bow, and learned how to make an arrow, and what that meant, that the bow is the female and the arrow is the male, and that they play a role together to provide for the people. And so just like the canoes, we're going to put the canoes in a little bit. There are roles in that canoe, and there are roles making it, and the roles putting it in the water, and the role when it's in the water. There are roles when it comes back. And so everything within our culture taught us how we were supposed to be, even the two-spirit. So the two-spirit had this wonderful, graceful, spiritual place within our people. And so I'm so glad that, that now it's becoming more and more recognized and respected. Where in the past, because of colonization, they were pushed off to the side, and it was fear. It was all fear-based. And so now we are getting stronger, and the two-spirit are coming back. And I think it's time for men to step up, because I'm tired of going to trainings and the women are still holding the rope. The women are still holding single families. And now I'm not saying there's not men out there doing their thing as single dads or as single parents, and they got a job, they're doing all the things they need to do, they're holding on to the culture and identity. But right now the majority is women. And then you got to give props to our elders who held the rope for years, held down the community. Now it's their time to be a teacher. But because of what is going on through addiction and all those things, now we have elders still holding the rope, holding that community together. It's time the men step in and we take care of the things that we're supposed to take care of with where we're from, according to how our culture says, and the teachings behind where you live. What is your role, and what are you going to do to take your place? Instead of all out in society doing all the things that social media tells you should be and should do. Like my brother Gene always says, that society says we got to be one way, but our culture says no, we need to be this way. And so I always think of him. And so it's time we take our place. There should be 100 men and 100 women here.
Okay.
At the same time.
Some kind of equity. So, can you just describe? We're at Suquamish Nation, where you have 110 people, and Wade and the crew is going to go and pull down a couple canoes.
Yep.
I'll just point to there's where the canoes are in there, where it says Suquamish. We're going to do this about 1:30 to 4:30, and we have some newbies. They never been in a canoe. So describe to me what you're planning on. What's going to happen?
So what's going to happen is the canoe family is going to show up, and of course we're going to follow their ways, their culture, their identity. There's a seal going right there. And so there's protocol that they have to follow. So me, Will, and Shady are going to just be kind of, there's two of them.
Two seals.
And so we'll just kind of follow their, them are otters.
Those are otters?
Yeah.
Okay, so describe what's happening and we'll try to get you
So while I'm talking, there's a bunch of otters just swam out in front of us fishing. It's pretty awesome. And so what we're gonna do is assist them in getting the canoes down here to the water. We're gonna put it in. We're also gonna do a safety, kind of a canoe 101 inside the longhouse. the healing house and kind of give them an idea of what it's going to be like out on the water. They have to wear life vests. You can't have your phones out, unfortunately, because we don't have, what is it? Phone protectors?
Phone protectors,
in case they land in the water.
And you don't want your iPhone to die today, right? I protect this iPhone because this is how I do Wellness Wednesday for Native Wellness Institute. Anyway, so describe a little bit more before.
So what they'll do is we're going to take 12 at a time. 12 will fit into each canoe, so it'll be 24 people at a time. The skippers for each of those canoes will decide who goes where inside that canoe, and then they're going to take off and go on a lovely journey. I don't know how far they're going to go, but I just want to do the Arizona people first because number one, they're fearful. Let's get it over with. So
okay.
They can realize their perceived fear is not real.
Oh, okay.
That's perceived. Once they get out there, the reality of fear is going to dissipate because it's nothing but beautiful. There's actually dolphins jumping. There's swimming.
There's dolphins jumping, and I think there's going to be because Nistu Nidaniko Mokoyo Sequoia. I think there's going to be orca is the equivalent of the wolf on the land. Yeah. So I'm gonna let you go, bro. Can you tell our we have a whole sobriety group doing raffles. If he's around, he can come over. So this is Wellness Wednesday. NWI Native Wellness Institute.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wade. But they got to get ready to pull the canoes out. So welcome to Wellness Wednesday. We are here with 110 participants, and we're about ready to take a couple of canoes out. Brother Wade McGee, Shadrin Joseph, we call him Shady, and Josh Cocker. And several of the men here are helping. The skipper from Suquamish Nation is going to lead them into. It's going to be awesome. But I wanted to invite. There's a big sobriety movement here, and they've got a table set up with Wildbriety books. They've got, they just had a raffle. They just raffled really good prizes to all of our community. And so I asked my little brother here if our next guest on Wellness Wednesday, we have all kinds of people from Australia, New Zealand, so they're not just Americans, but they're into healing. And so I'm just going to, first, could you just introduce her and tell us, I like this guy because they just been having fun over here, and they came and gave me the notice for the Tuesday night meeting at 5:30 at Suquamish Nation. If you want some sobriety, they've just been talking about how it's okay to be sober and have fun. So please introduce yourself.
Hi, community. My name is Charles Lawrence. My sister is Kalina Lawrence, who is a part of the Healing and Wellness Institute. And I am a member of the Suquamish tribe out here in the Pacific Northwest. And right now I am a little over, I'm close to 11 months right now of sobriety. And it's really I've had an opportunity to kind of change my life. Moved into Oxford, which is Oxford is a sober living environment that is. It's an opportunity for people that want to be clean and sober and change their life from drugs to kind of get involved in sober living events, sober living housing, and it is an opportunity for people, for members of the community, you know, in various communities across the state, across the county. You can find it at oxfordvacancies.com. You know, search your area, wherever you're living. And it's an opportunity to kind of get your life back in order. It's really changed my life. There's a lot of sobriety movement going on right now in a lot of areas. And just for our area, we've had an opportunity to open up an Oxford house on the reservation, which is one of the very first Oxford houses that's been approved to move onto a reservation, and it's really changed my life. This year after COVID, I was able to attend the canoe journey, which is really an opportunity to really change my life. So it really kind of opened a broader perspective in what being a part of the community and being a part of the Wobriety movement that really is going on all over the country. So yeah, it's been a blessing for sure.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just gonna come in the frame with my brother here, because most of you know I got 35 years, and some days I feel like I know some stuff, and some days I feel like I don't know jack. So, and I was just real proud of the way you've been behaving, and I was real proud of the level of respect you have. So can you tell us about some of the men, some of what's your story? What's your story? Like, where was you born? Who you been hanging with? What happened? You don't have to tell us all the dirt, but you can. Is how did you choose to stand up here? He's been here and he's talked about the canoe journey, and we're just about to take a couple canoes out with 110 people. So tell us some of your story.
So I am 31 years old, and so when I was younger, I've got a pair of really great parents that have had their troubles with addiction, but they've also had their opportunities at success too. My mother is Nancy Martinez, and she was a part of the group of individuals that went to Washington, D.C. to fight for our Indian child welfare rights. And having a parent that does that and has had an opportunity to do that, during my time of getting sober, I've had many struggles of going in and out of jail and in and out of treatment. Having a parent that has had an opportunity to do that for our Native communities really kind of gave me a different insight of what I could be doing with my life. And so having an opportunity to come down here and witness the movements that the Healing Native Wellness Institute is doing just in our community or in all communities all over the place, it's really been an awesome opportunity to kind of come down here and witness. So when I was taken away from my parents when I was around 6 years old, and but through the Indian child welfare movement and the opportunities that arose, I was placed with my auntie and my uncle, and that was a wonderful placement for me. So growing up, I went to church and did a lot of, kind of doing the canoe journey and all that kind of stuff. And then when I got earlier in my years, I turned to addiction when I was about 17 to 18. I ran away, tried to see what life would be like living on my own. And that's when I fell hard into addiction. So, and then, my sister and I both, we split up when we were about 12 or 13. So when I was staying in my placement, I had to sit there and deal with the splitting up of me and my little baby sister and watching her bounce around different placements, and to see how she has evolved in her life. There's a few times where we've had our differences, and she's seen my struggles through addiction, and I decided, this is enough. We've already had our troubles with our splitting up, and So having an opportunity to kind of, you know, turn the cheek and live a sober life, you know, having an opportunity to kind of get my family back. There's a lot of us. I come from a family of siblings where we've got, I've got 7 older brothers and 1 younger sister, you know, so trying to be one of those big brothers that's been there for her, getting sober, I've actually had the opportunity to do that. So
beautiful,
you know,
beautiful.
So being a part of this community and seeing families come back together has been a really, really big blessing. We still have our troubles with addiction in this area, but I believe that through my story and through my accomplishments, that other people will be able to see that. Because like I've been a really big part of this community, and people seeing me struggle and whatnot, and people seeing me wanting to see me succeed kind of gives other people motivation to do the same, which has been awesome. I get compliments from people all the time telling me that, you know, they're proud of me and that they want to do the same thing that I'm doing. So, you know, I love who I am today. I get to look in the mirror.
I love that.
You know,
That's
I get to look in the mirror today and tell myself, you know what, you're doing everything that you need to be doing. Keep on the good red road, and prayers will be answered, you know. So having an opportunity to kind of look at this beautiful landset that we come from and the coastal Salish people that we are today, the healing is being done, you know, being an opportunity to jump in the sweat lodge and, you know, be a part of Mother Earth and experiencing all different kinds of healing moments. It's really been an awesome blessing.
No, and I thank you because, you know, when I had a rough go and before I got sober, I would last like maybe 9 months, and when the holidays came, I'd always relapse because it just triggered. Because I grew up, there was with my father's alcoholism. It was always the holidays were never fun. There was a lot of drama, and it just would trigger. And I was so used to coping, you know, with a little whiskey. I was a whiskey drinker. That and then when I first my family intervened on me and put me in the Betty Ford Center in 1988, and I was trying my hardest. And I lasted 77 days. I was trying to do 90 meetings in 90 days, and day 77 I just drove to the bar and I had a rum and coke, and I stayed drunk for 3 months. And then I checked myself into a women's program. And that's where the journey started. But I just remember, you know, getting up in the morning time and just begging Ishtabatapi Creator, just begging him, please just give me this 24 hours. Please just help me this 24 hours and help me to sleep good. And I have tears now because I feel so grateful. I feel so grateful that I have my sobriety. And so, tell me, this is my new nephew. Is how do you start your day as a Native man? I see into your future. You're gonna have a long, healthy life. That's gonna be my prayer for you. But how do you start your day?
So, you know, like I'm still early in recovery, you know, and I'm trying to get used to just being able to wake up in the morning and tell myself, you know, today's going to be worth it. You know, today is going to be a day of good hard work. Since I'm just trying to be okay with myself, you know, and a lot of the struggles that I've dealt with, you know, is knowing that no matter what, you know, I can still be loved. I can still, I can still work hard. Trying to get a job right now has been my goal, but also trying to be inspiration to other people too, you know. And so the first thing that I do, you know, is I wake up and I try and drink a cup of coffee and, you know, I sit down and watch some TV and just be comfortable with the blessing that I have of being able to live in a clean and sober environment. And then you know, as the day goes along, if I get a phone call from somebody that says, hey, I need to come talk to you, or a phone call that says, hey, I need your help with something, can you come give me a ride? That's what I do. You know, I'm just kind of just trying to be there for people, because I know that doing that kind of stuff for other people kind of goes a long way. And it kind of gives myself some inspiration to know that, you know, I can still be of service to other people just in a healthy way, you know, so that's the biggest thing for me.
Don't you love that? Just being of service. So we'll kind of wind down. We're at a lunchtime, but what does it mean to be of service? You know, I often, as being 67 years old, sometimes it's just praying for them, praying for our relatives who are locked up. You know, praying that we call it God's house. It's good to be locked up, because then you have to have a talk with God, right? And praying for someone. What else does it mean to be of service? You know, it's like hover over elders. Hover over elders that are raising grandchildren. Hover over single moms that are raising a bunch of kids and have to finance. Hover over them. Be around them, or offer, you know, to babysit one night while they go out. And, you know, do whatever they do to enjoy themselves. Hover around our men. Like, you know, I'm right here standing next to a young brother, you know, and I see him as a brother again. What Wade and I talked about, it's discipline. There is nothing sexual about us. It's about one alcoholic helping another. and that it's that unconditional love where you have to, in order to keep it, you have to give it away. And that's being of service. That's, you know, seeing where, and I know brother's going to be helping here pull out these canoes in about a half hour. Because we got his young muscle power, and then we're just we got really good food going on. There was a couple otters out there, and then we saw a seal. So we say to you, it's one day at a time. And I say the morning because it's so beautiful just to wake up and to breathe and be alive.
Say good morning to the sky.
Exactly. Say good morning to the sky. Say good morning to the water. You know, say good morning and thank our body for bringing us this far. Yeah, in early recovery, I used to apologize to how I treated my body. But even today, I tell my body, I'm going to be good to you today. We're going to be around good. And we just finished an exercise where we were all connected, with the young people standing in the center, and then the elders standing around the young people, and then all the women standing around them, and then we had all the protector men standing around us, and we all touched like we're touching now. And man, it was just healing, because it was like it was unconditional love. We were feeling unconditional love. So I want to thank you, brother.
Thank you.
I want to thank you. I'll let you go get some lunch if you haven't got. I'll be in there a minute. Okay. So welcome to Wellness Wednesday. Yeah, handsome young man, right? Welcome to Native Wellness Institute. We are here at Suquamish Nation. We are doing our community healing. We have 110 registered. So I'm just gonna give you the view where we're at, because this is Wade and Debbie picking berries. Check this out. I mean, you know, everyone's in there eating, and here's Wade and Debbie out there picking berries. And then if you can look off into the water, there's been seals, there's been otters. They even say an orca whale sometimes comes into the water. But I'm just gonna, I just love this. They're gonna, yeah, you were on the power hour just picking berries, because there's badass Debbie McGee. And you know, she's a Marine. She's the oldest daughter. She's a loving person. I just love her. And that's her husband. and they live their life in wellness. They have 3 sons. There they go with each other. Yoo-hoo! I got you in the frame. Wave. Yee! And so there you have is the Cedar House of Awakening. We're gonna get ready to take out the canoes in a little bit, and I'm just gonna end with some scenes of the water. So we'll say Kitaki Del Matsuno Native Wellness Institute. This is Wellness Wednesday, and we just want to prove to you that Indian country is healing. We just want to prove to you that Indian country is learning their language. We just want to prove to you that we're picking up our ancestral teachings and that we're helping each other. So until we see you next Wednesday, Kitaki Do Matsuno and Kitsikako Mim. I love you very much. We love you very much.